A young, beautiful woman named Karika enters the building of a huge company named Dragon Bank. She is the daughter of the president of this company, so she is here to conduct interviews for the company's new recruits. Meanwhile, a young man named Gaku is practicing for his interview in front of the mirror in the bathroom. Gaku has been dreaming of working at this company since his childhood, and today is the day to achieve his dream. However, he is a nerd lacking any communication skills. He is so nervous that he makes blunders in front of the recruiting committee and can't even speak clearly. Though he is a nerd, he has exceptional computer skills. He has identified some loopholes in the Dragon Bank system, which he could use to hack the whole company. Karika recognizes his talent and selects him. However, Gaku still has to go through the training sessions, during which he could be disqualified if he does not perform well. After Gaku leaves, another applicant named Haru arrives for the job interview. He is much more confident and has exceptional communication and persuasive skills. In his overconfidence, he talks big and impresses Karika, so she selects him as well. Outside the building, when Gaku is trying to buy a drink from a vending machine, his bill slips from his hands and flies into the air. He runs after it, but Haru suddenly appears and catches the bill by jumping high. There, Haru recognizes Gaku as his old school friend. They had met in the past when some goons were torturing Gaku for money, and Haru had intervened to fight them off. The fight was captured on a street camera, and Haru was scared that he would be expelled from school for his actions. However, Gaku used his computer skills to hack into the security system of the camera and deleted the footage of Haru fighting the goons. This act marked the beginning of their friendship. Back in the present, Haru mentions that he has always been successful in securing jobs after school. He has changed employment several times and has now come to work at Dragon Bank. However, Gaku has been unfortunate and has not even gotten a job yet. After some days, when Gaku is working at his side job as a glass cleaner at Dragon Bank, Haru comes by and informs him that he has quit his job at Dragon Bank. Haru wants to start his own company and needs Gaku's help. Haru is a man of persuasive skills, but he requires someone with knowledge and technical skills like Gaku. Haru explained the roadmap of their company to Gaku and asked him to join the mission. The name of their new company is Trillion Game, and they intend to make trillions of dollars from it in the end. The headquarters of their company is their apartment room. Haru brings a new chair for Gaku, having spent all their saved money on it. He wants Gaku to sit comfortably and work hard for their company. After that, they make a rough presentation of their business plan and go to banks and investors to seek investment money. However, no one agrees to give them the money, as they are newbies in the business world with no prior experience. Additionally, their plan is not very elaborate and does not meet the mark. In the end, they go to Karika again with their proposal to get some money. Karika is a very sharp woman and does not fall for their trap. She is playing 8-ball pool, and Haru offers to hit all the balls into their pockets with just one shot, while keeping his eyes closed. In return for this successful feat, he demands investment money. Karika agrees and lets him try. Haru closes his eyes with his necktie and takes a shot. Luckily, all the balls go into the pockets in just one hit. Karika is impressed again and offers them her money to start their new company, but she has some conditions. She wants 51% of their new company shares in exchange for 100 million yen. Haru does not agree to her offer, as this would mean that he and Gaku would have to work under Karika all the time. They decline the offer and leave. After that, they go to a party to celebrate the deal they got today, but did not close. There, they learn about a hacker tournament that is going to take place at Dragon Bank. Haru quickly registers them as a team using Gaku's picture. He also uses Karika's offer as bait and makes that the title of their team in the tournament. On the day of the tournament, Gaku is competing alone against hundreds of hackers to become one of the top 12. He is solving problems and earning points, but his speed is too slow compared to others who have large teams. Then Haru comes in with many people on a video call. They are all newbie hackers, but they are enough to help Gaku in this round. The match lasts for about 12 hours, and Gaku works throughout the night with all those newbies to get into the top 12 hackers. In the morning, Gaku goes to the rooftop to tell Haru that they have survived the round. They celebrate their win on the rooftop and then wait for the next phase. On the day of the finals of the hackers tournament, Gaku is again alone against teams with 4 to 5 hackers each. Dragon Bank has also brought its own team to the tournament. Haru arrives dressed as a monk and carries some weird objects, pretending to pray to the gods for their victory in the tournament, as they need the prize money to start their company. Before the match starts, Haru asks Gaku to connect the router exactly 1 minute after the match begins. When the match starts, Haru heads towards the stage and begins waving his strange object in the air. The object is made of silicon strips, which Haru uses to block the signals from reaching the routers. As a result, all the teams experience difficulties connecting to the router. He stops for a moment, and after 1 minute, he instructs Gaku to connect to the router. Meanwhile, the management team discovers Haru's plan and intervenes, stopping him from continuing. Although Gaku had initially gained an advantage by connecting to the router earlier due to Haru's help, he starts losing the game as the other teams, which are stronger, easily take all his points. Then Haru reveals that all the other teams are using a router Haru had placed earlier, close to the stage. When Haru was blocking the signals, the other teams had found and connected to this router as an alternative. Both routers had the same name, but Gaku could use their router to hack into the other team's names and passwords. Gaku seizes the opportunity created by Haru to hack the passwords of the other teams and begins attacking them massively. In no time, he climbs to the top of the points table and wins the game. Kakuya is also present and is pleased to see them win. However, the management announces that Haru cheated by using the silicon strips to block signals, so they are disqualified and cannot receive the prize money. As they are leaving, Mr. Chito, a spectator who is greatly impressed by Haru, approaches them. He offers them 30 million yen as an investment for their new company. Mr. Chito takes them to a pub to finalize the deal and warns them to use the money carefully, or they would become his slaves for the rest of their lives. He also demands that their company make 300 million yen within 3 months. Haru and Gaku are thrilled to receive the initial investment for their new company. They quickly start recruiting people, advertising for interviews, and many candidates show up. Since they have no experience in interviewing people, they use a book for ideas and rely on a standard set of questions. To judge the candidates, they use the question, if you are selling an item for 1,000 yen and your competitor is selling the same item for 500 yen, what would you do to sell it? Some applicants provide the correct answer, which is to buy the competitor's item for 500 yen and then sell both for 1,000 yen. However, a young woman applicant named Rin does not answer at all. She says that she has already read the book from which the question is taken, so it would be dishonest for her to answer. Gaku and Haru appreciate her honesty and hire her. Gaku feels a special connection to her. The next day, Rin comes to their apartment to start working on the company. However, Gaku and Haru have no plans for the company and don't have any clear ideas about what to do. Rin uses the knowledge she has gained from books to provide them with some ideas. In the end, they decide to create an AI to help people with queries regarding gift giving. But making an AI requires a substantial budget and manpower, so they decide to create a fake AI behind which Rin would work to answer people's queries. They launch an app for their AI and appoint Rin to handle all the inquiries, whether by searching the internet or providing advice based on her knowledge. They also make Rin the company's president, believing that having a young woman as their president could enhance the company's image in society. Their idea proves successful. Rin works hard to answer people's questions, and by the end of the month, they find that the company is growing steadily but still needs a boost to reach their target. They review the statistics and discover that people talk more about love and romance. Their queries mostly revolve around romance, as they find it difficult to ask such questions openly. They decide to focus exclusively on answering queries related to gifting flowers. Since Rin has previous experience working in a flower shop, her recommendations go viral quickly. Within a month, they attract a lot of traffic to their app, and by the end of the month, they achieve 300 million yen in revenue. They are thrilled with their success and show the revenue to Mr. Chito, who is pleased that his investment was worthwhile. Mr. Chito then introduces them to Miss Suzuko, the owner of a flower shop. She invests in Trillion Game and allows them to sell her flowers on their platform. Miss Suzuko sets a high revenue target for their online platform. Haru accepts the offer, But now the founders of Trillion Game must find a way to achieve such a large revenue target, as their current market is not big enough to reach those sales. They decide to target the nightclub market, where people spend a lot of money on entertainment. Haru and Gaku go to nightclubs to advertise their AI, named Terran. Haru uses his exceptional persuasive skills and charm to attract ladies at the nightclub, becoming a popular host while promoting their AI. Unfortunately, Gaku encounters a woman who is a customer of another host. The woman disrespects Gaku, and the other host, along with his friends, takes Gaku to a blind alley and starts beating him. Haru arrives just in time to save his friend. The other host then asks Haru what his main goal is at the nightclub. Haru explains that he wants to sell flowers to the customers. Meanwhile, Gaku creates a 3D model of their flowers to present them more attractively on their app, and they make their app easier to use. They decide to focus on celebrating birthdays with flowers based on Terran's recommendations. Due to their hard work, they successfully attract the nightclub market, and their sales skyrocket. By the end of the month, their revenue meets Suzuko's target, and they are thrilled to achieve this milestone. Suzuko is pleased with the growth of Trillion Game and agrees to continue working with them. However, the next day, Dragon Bank launches its own app to suggest flowers as gifts. With their extensive budget and media control, their advertising becomes massive, and the app goes viral nationwide. Dragon Bank's app copies the entire theme of Trillion Game's Terran, leading to Trillion Game's app flopping and a significant drop in revenue. Kazuma Kakuru, Karika's father and president of Dragon Bank, orchestrates this move to crush any competition and maintain his company's monopoly in the market. Gaku, Haru, and Rin are concerned about their company as they now lack sufficient funds, and their reserves are depleting rapidly. The next day, Haru comes up with a new idea to enter the social games market. He presents his plan to Gaku and Rin, who both agree after reviewing it. They need to find a company that can develop a game with them. Rin creates a list, and Gaku and Haru visit these companies one by one, but they are all rejected. Eventually, they find a company in poor condition, operating from an apartment with no budget for the next month's rent. Haru convinces the company's president, Sakura, to collaborate with them on an amazing game that will captivate people's hearts. Haru pretends that they have a large office and substantial funds. Sakura agrees to join them and moves to the Trillion Game Company with all her luggage. Meanwhile, Haru informs them that he has rented a large building for their new office. The team is surprised by the new office's size, though Gaku and Rin are concerned about the high rent. Haru is confident they will make it through. Haru presents the roadmap for their future game, aiming to complete it within 6 months. Knowing that making a high-quality game in such a short time is difficult, Haru plans to amend an old game that was loved in their childhood but didn't earn much. Trillion Game intends to make this game profitable. They organize a gathering for investors, announcing that a producer who previously created the #1 game in the nation will join Trillion Game to develop this new game. This announcement captures everyone's attention. Mr. Habijama, who had made a successful game for Dragon Bank, is introduced as the new producer. Suzuko is present and ready to invest in the new project, prompting other investors to come forward as well. Sakura, the president of the gaming wing, is thrilled by this addition to their team, having always dreamed of working with Habijama. However, it turns out that Mr. Habijama is a fake producer planted by Haru. The real identity of the producer behind the #1 game is unknown to everyone. Haru created this hype to secure a significant investment. Haru succeeds in his mission to secure about 2 billion yen from the investors. However, he reveals that he doesn't intend to use this money to develop a game. Instead, he wants to build his own media empire. He asks Gaku to create a dummy game to present to the investors. Haru's goal is to establish a media empire similar to Dragon Bank's, which would facilitate advertising their projects. This decision upsets everyone, especially Gaku, Rin, and the gaming team. Haru tells Gaku the full truth and asks him to cover for him temporarily. Haru then approaches Ketan, revealing his plan to acquire a media company. Since Ketan has experience in the media industry, he is a potential partner. However, Ketan is unsure whether to join forces with Haru and takes some time to consider the offer. Meanwhile, Rin discovers that Haru has withdrawn the 2 billion yen from their account, which was meant for the game. She is furious and wants to confront Haru, but Gaku stops her. He doesn't want them to fight and assures her that he will make the necessary arrangements to develop the game. He then explains the situation to their gaming team. Seeing that the team is disheartened, Gaku offers them hope by revealing that he has a friend at Dragon Bank who knows the producer of the nation's #1 game. Gaku plans to contact this friend to learn about the producer and potentially hire him for Trillion Game. Sakura is moved by Gaku's dedication and bravery, admiring his willingness to go against his friend's plan for the sake of the game. Meanwhile, Haru is plotting with Keton to acquire a media company named God Promotion. Keton, who had previously worked as an executive there, was expelled after being falsely accused of causing a road accident. The real culprit was a young actor from the company, but God Promotion shifted the blame to Keton to avoid the loss of the actor. Haru plans to blackmail the company by threatening to expose the true culprit if they do not make Keton their president and help repair their public image. But on the other hand, Gaku hacks into Dragon Bank to find out who the producer of the #1 game is. Gaku hesitates when he is about to open the folder containing sensitive data, realizing that it would be an immoral act. He decides against it and goes back. The next morning, Kika's subordinates inform her that their system was hacked the previous night. Although no data was stolen, the hacker updated their security settings and fixed all the loopholes in their system. Kika quickly suspects Gaku, as he is the only person she knows who could have done this. She calls Gaku to meet with her, arranging what appears to be a date, possibly to thank him for his work. They meet at an amusement park the next day and enjoy various rides, spending the whole day from dawn to dusk. At the end of their day, Kika reveals that their company was hacked and that she knows who did it. Gaku is the only one aware of the loopholes in her company's system, but instead of stealing anything, he updated their security. This impresses Kika greatly, and she asks why Gaku hacked into their system. Gaku explains that he wanted to obtain the identity of the producer behind the #1 game. Kika is deeply moved by his honesty and gives him a drive containing the producer's identity. Gaku is thrilled with this information. Now, Gaku and Runrin Goat meet the real Habjama and ask him to join their company. However, Habjama demands 185 million yen as a salary, which is a significant amount for a startup like Trillion Game. Hearing this, Gaku and Runrin feel disheartened and are about to leave without closing the deal. At that moment, Haru arrives and proposes that Habjama work with them as an external advisor for a few days, with payment adjusted accordingly until the complete transfer requirements are met. Both parties agree to this arrangement, allowing Trillion Game to pay Habjama less upfront. Haru expresses his admiration for Gaku, particularly for how he managed to obtain the producer's identity from Dragon Bank. He wants to support Gaku in making the game and plans to handle both acquiring a media empire and developing the game simultaneously. The next day, Haru and Keton meet with investors and persuade them to sell their shares in God Promotion Company. They threaten that stock prices will drop once the news about the real culprit of the road accident is made public. Consequently, they buy shares from the majority of the investors, using the investment funds for the game. Meanwhile, Habjama and Sakura work on developing the game. But their approaches are quite different. Habjama wants to make the game as profitable as possible, while Sakura focuses on making it enjoyable first, and then profitable. Haru recognizes the value in both perspectives and encourages them to collaborate, understanding that both aspects are crucial. Meanwhile, at Dragon Bank, Kakuya discovers that Kika has leaked the producer's information to their competitor. Kika argues that her father can't control the situation and should leave it to her. As the game goes live, it quickly becomes a massive success, turning into the most played game nationwide because of its appeal. Seeing this, Kakuya calls Habjama and threatens him to leave Trillion Game, or Kakuya will destroy both him and the company. Habjama, intimidated by Kakuya's power and influence, decides to leave Trillion Game and returns to Dragon Bank. There, a ceremony is held to announce their new game produced by Habjama. Gaku and Haru attend the ceremony, hoping to persuade Habjama to rejoin Trillion Game, but Habjama initially shows no interest. On stage, Kakuya reveals the true identity of the producer behind the #1 game and announces that Habjama will be creating another game for Dragon Bank. To everyone's surprise, When Habjama takes the microphone, he announces his resignation from Dragon Bank and his decision to join Trillion Game. He praises the Trillion Game team for their potential to create games that are both profitable and enjoyable. By making this announcement publicly, Habjama ensures his protection from Kakuya's influence. Gaku and Haru, along with Sakura's team, are thrilled by the development. Kakuya, however, is left disappointed. Haru and Mr. Cowan now work on securing proxy votes to make Cowan the president of God Promotion. They meet with various executive members and strike deals to acquire the media company. With God Promotion in their hands, Trillion Game begins advertising its game across all media platforms. They leverage the company's actors to promote the game, resulting in a substantial boost to their visibility and sales. The game makes record-breaking profits within days, capturing the entire nation's attention due to its extensive publicity, both organically and inorganically. It quickly becomes the #1 game in the country. The entire Trillion Game team celebrates their success together. Now, Haru is planning to build Trillion TV. To do this, he acquires an ordinary weather channel and begins transforming it into a full-fledged TV network. He adds various shows and hires staff to support the new venture. Haru aims to dominate the TV market, hoping to attract big sponsors and generate significant revenue. However, Dragon Bank employs a tactic to hinder Trillion TV's growth. Karika partners with renowned international streaming channels to expand her own TV service and collaborates with TV manufacturers to include a button for her channel on all TV remotes. This move makes Haru anxious about his TV network's future. Seeking advice, Haru turns to Keen, who suggests adding a news broadcasting channel to Trillion TV. Since news attracts a large audience, incorporating a news channel could significantly boost Trillion TV's growth. Haru approaches a news producer named Kugi and offers him the chance to join Trillion TV's news department. Initially, Kugi is uninterested, but Haru knows that Kugi is frustrated with the restrictions imposed by his current employer. Kugi desires journalistic freedom, which Haru promises to provide. Haru also highlights Gaku's expertise, claiming he is the best software engineer in the world, which convinces Kugi to join the team. Kugi joins Trillion TV and begins developing their news department. Soon, they cover a live broadcast of an event where an escaped prisoner is holding civilians hostage. Trillion TV obtains exclusive footage that goes viral nationwide, significantly increasing their viewership and attracting numerous sponsors. The team is elated and celebrates this achievement. In response, Dragon Bank counters with a bold move. Karika organizes a large press conference with all the news channels, announcing that Dragon Bank will offer 3 years of free subscription to their TV service across the country. This shocks the public, as it is a drastic and risky strategy designed to undermine Trillion TV's progress without regard for their own losses. After this announcement, Dragon Bank's TV goes viral almost immediately. To counter this move, Haru devises a strategy to publish exclusive content on his TV network. He plans to create an anime with an anime-making company to attract a large audience to Trillion TV. The founders of Trillion Game approach an anime studio where Yami, a popular artist known for her viral anime, works. However, Dragon Bank has already secured a deal with Yami's manager for their upcoming anime, which will air on Dragon Bank's TV. Determined to get the anime for Trillion TV, Haru meets with Karika and tries to convince her to give the anime to him. Karika, with her business acumen, agrees, but demands that Haru become her pet in return. Haru, who is not inclined to agree to such a condition, declines the offer immediately. Meanwhile, Kakuya approaches Cowan, who is now the president of God Promotion and managing all media services for Trillion Game. Kakuya asks Cowan to leave Trillion Game and join Dragon Bank's media services instead. Although Cowan could secure a more lucrative deal with Dragon Bank, he consults with Haru, who advises him to choose what is best for his business. Cowan decides to remain with Trillion Game, believing in the potential of Haru and Gaku. Haru returns to the anime studio and tries to convince the manager to work with them. The manager remains steadfast, having already committed to Dragon Bank. Haru then plays an emotional card, revealing that they want to create an anime about Isumi, the manager's own life. The anime, written by Isumi herself 10 years ago, was never published due to her extensive workload. Haru proposes to make this personal anime for Trillion TV. Haru's emotional appeal persuades Izumi, the manager, to agree. The next challenge is to convince Yami, the lead artist of the anime. Haru understands that Yami craves self-appreciation and fame and also wants to collaborate with international anime artists. He emphasizes that the anime is based on Izumi's life, who is Yami's best friend from childhood and has been a significant influence in her career. Haru believes this will resonate with Yami and help secure her cooperation for the project. Haru succeeds in convincing Yami to collaborate with them. At a press conference, Gaku showcases his new AI model, which can accelerate anime production, enabling them to complete it within 6 months instead of the usual 2 years. In addition, Haru announces that he will pay off the debt of Yami's company and air all their previous anime on Trillion TV. This is a significant promotional boost for Trillion TV, which Haru has recently announced. Kika is present at the ceremony and storms out angrily after hearing the announcements. Observing the success of Trillion Game Company, Kakuya contacts Kika and reveals that Trillion TV has copied their idea and added a button on all TV remotes. Frustrated by Kika's failure to overcome Trillion TV, Kakuya proposes buying the entire company. He arranges a meeting with Gaku, Haru, and Kakuya, offering them 70 billion yen to sell their company to Dragon Bank, making Trillion Game a subsidiary. Kakuya also offers Haru the opportunity to marry Kika, integrating him into the Dragon Bank family and allowing him to run the company. Haru rejects all of Kakuya's offers, stating that he is already married and has no intention of selling the company. The next day, Kakuya demotes Kika to manage a supermarket chain, removing her from Dragon Bank's main operations. Meanwhile, Haru aims to enter the cashless payment industry. He plans to create a system for secure payments using mobile apps and QR codes and offers to waive transaction fees for 3 years. This move attracts shop vendors, who start using his QR codes for payments, leading to promising growth. Haru also wants to integrate his payment system with railways and metro buses. To do this, he meets with the owner of PASA, the railway's debit card company, and proposes replacing cards with his app to eliminate manufacturing costs. The owner asks him to meet with the railway head about this change. When Haru meets with the railway head, he discovers that Kika is already there promoting her cashless card. Unfortunately, the railway head declines both their offers. Railways are not a place to be commercialized by companies like them. Seeing this, Haru contacts Kika and asks her to meet. He proposes that Kika join forces with him. While Dragon Bank's card works in the supermarket chain, Trillion Game Company's app is popular with shop vendors. By combining their efforts, they could easily convince the railways to use their QR codes for transactions. This collaboration proves fruitful, and they succeed in persuading the railway executive board members to support them. However, Kakuya is furious upon learning of this alliance. He views Kika's cooperation with Trillion Game as a personal affront and devises a plan to destroy the company. The next day, the founders of Trillion Game Company watch the news and discover that PASA is now aligning with Sway, a newly founded company backed by Dragon Bank. Kakuya has used his power to bring all the railway executive board members to his side, rejecting Trillion Game's offer. Amidst the turmoil, Gaku receives a call from Kugi, reporting that their servers are down. Upon checking, Gaku discovers that their data has been stolen. Their security has been breached over the past 5 to 6 days, with someone inside slowly siphoning off their data. Gaku informs Haru, who is with Kakuya, who is grinning triumphantly. Kakuya's actions are motivated by wounded pride. He cannot tolerate anyone growing to his level. Rin steps forward, taking responsibility for the data breach as they had the personal information of millions of users stolen. She holds a press conference and resigns as president, feeling deeply emotional as she reflects on the company's growth from a single-room apartment to a billion-dollar enterprise. Meanwhile, Kakuya offers Haru and Gaku 70 billion yen to sell him their company. This time, Haru agrees to the offer, relinquishing all his shares in Trillion Game Company. Gaku tries to persuade him to reconsider, but Haru is resolute, believing that selling the company is the best option and that 70 billion yen is too significant an amount to ignore. Gaku remains unconvinced and does not sell his shares. Kakuya has also sold his shares in Trillion Game and embarked on a world tour with the proceeds. Trillion Game Company is now a subsidiary of Dragon Bank. The subsidiary company now operates under Dragon Bank, with all their operations halted and their creativity stifled. The game department is focused on fixing bugs in previous games rather than developing new ones, and the news department is heavily monitored. Gaku stands on the rooftop, feeling depressed about the fate of his company, unable to believe that Haru would leave him in such a situation. But then Haru approaches from behind and reveals that this is all part of his plan. He intends to destroy Dragon Bank from within, just as they did to Trillion Game Company. Haru believes this is the only way for their company to survive. He assures Gaku that as long as Gaku holds shares in Trillion Game, no one can take the company from them. Haru also hands Gaku the pass keys to Kakuya's office. The following day, Gaku, disguised as a cleaner, enters Kakuya's office. He hacks into their system, copies all the data, turns off the cameras, and deletes the footage of his actions. However, Kakuya discovers the breach through a hidden camera and a horse statue in his office. With proof of the hack, Kakuya plans to make Gaku and Haru suffer. Despite this, Haru remains confident. He declares that this is not the end for them, but rather the downfall of Kakuya's empire. Haru demands that Kakuya sell his shares, and he arranges for investors interested in buying them during his international trip. Haru has video footage from the laptop's front camera, recorded by Gaku during the hack. This footage reveals how Kakuya manipulated news channels to suppress negative news about Dragon Bank and ordered the takedown of Trillion Game Company. If Haru releases this footage to the media, Dragon Bank's reputation will suffer significantly, and their shares will lose value. Haru has also convinced Kika to sell her shares. Combined with Gaku's shares, they now hold 51% of Dragon Bank's shares, giving them the power to elect a new president. Haru announces that the new president will be Gaku. Due to insider trading, Haru himself cannot assume the role of president, but Dragon Bank is now a subsidiary of Trillion Game Company. All departments of both companies are merged to work more efficiently. Haru and Gaku bring Rin back to the company, and Kika, now working under Trillion Game as the president of Dragon Bank, joins them. After several months in disguise, Haru returns. A year later, while Gaku is trying to get a cold drink from a vending machine, his note slips from his hand. Haru catches the note by jumping in the air, then drives Gaku to a port in his Lamborghini. Haru is now planning to expand his business to the export level, with the main goal of making $1 trillion. They both acknowledge that they are the most selfish people in the world.